Hello and welcome to this lecture, and in this lecture we are going to learn one of the most important things, that is how to filter out the missing data. So missing data is nothing but your series or your data frame might have those NaN, which is not a number values, which are actually inconsistent values, and they actually make your data frame kind of look what you could say inconsistent, or it may also cause problems in certain cases. So in this lecture we will learn how to filter out those missing data values from your data frame or your series. So when you actually load your data from a certain file, it may have NaN fields, or also when you perform some kind of arithmetic operations on series or data frames, you might encounter those NaN, which is not a number values. So you do need to have a method to filter out those values. So that's actually quite simple. So in this lecture we are actually going to create a series with NaN value, and we are actually going to learn how to go ahead and remove that particular NaN value. So here what we will do first is that we are going to introduce a new concept which is called as NumPy, and we are actually going to learn about NumPy in the upcoming lectures. But for now we are going to make the use of NumPy simply to insert a NaN value. So you need to type in import, and you just need to type in NumPy, and we are going to import NumPy as NP. So whenever you refer to NP in your code, that means NumPy. So let's create a series by typing ser equals, that's going to be series, and to this series let's pass a few numbers. Let's say 1 2 3 4, and the fifth one is going to be, let's say, np.nan, which is nothing but the not a number value. And then let's also define the index for each of these values. So let's say the index is a, let's say b, c, d and e. So let me just quickly go ahead and type in the index. So once you have these index values, let's go ahead and let's print out the series over here. So if you could have a look over here, as you could see, the final value is now a NaN value. So you could have multiple such NaN values in your data frame or in your series. So what you simply need to do in order to remove these values is that you need to type in your series name, give a dot, and then you need to use a method which is called as the drop NA method. So you could type in drop NA, and when you execute this code, as you could see, the value from this particular series is dropped. So if you type in ser, as you could see, still the value exists. So what you essentially need to do is that in order to completely remove that value, you need to type in ser equals ser dot drop NA. And once you do that, and once you run this code, and now if you type in the series name, as you could see, now the inconsistent value, which is the NaN value, is dropped from your series. Now same is the case with the data frame as well. So what you simply need to do is that you need to use the drop NA method on the data frame, and that's actually going to drop the values from a data frame. So I'm going to simply paste the data frame code here. So this is the usual procedure of creating a data frame. I have just inserted a NaN value by typing np.nan over here, so that now our data frame is actually going to have the NaN value. So once you run this code, as you could see, here we have our data frame and we have two NaN values over here. And now in order to drop those NaN values, you simply need to type in frame2.drop NA, and once you execute this code, we should basically have those values removed. So if you execute this code, as you could see, now the NaN values are dropped, and we do have other values over here. So as you could see, as this row had NaN values, that row is completely removed from the data frame. And one more thing which you could do is that instead of removing those values, you could also fill up those missing values with some sort of data. So right now, as you could see, instead of dropping these NaN values, you could also replace them with a new value which you desire. So let's say on the NaN fields over here, you want to define 0. So what you could simply do is that you could type in the frame name. So you could type frame2 dot and use a method which is called as fill NA method. So it's actually going to fill all the NA fields with a value which you specify. So let's say you want to insert a 0 everywhere where the NaN is defined. So if you run this code, as you could see, now each and every NaN in your data frame is actually replaced by the value which you have defined, which in this case is 0. Now if you have defined some other value, like let's say 100 over here instead of 0, and once you run this code, as you could see, Now the NaN values are actually replaced by 100. So that's it for this lecture, and this is how you could go ahead and handle missing data while performing data analysis. So when you actually perform data analysis on a real world data, there is going to be a lot of missing data in your file, or there is going to be actually a lot of inconsistencies in your data source, and this is one of the methods or one of the ways to basically go ahead and treat that particular problem. So that's it for this lecture, and I hope you guys were able to understand the significance and usage of the drop NA method and the fill NA method. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Thank you.